Man, I love that chord, right? This is kind of like you take this major or minor 7 type thing and you just take your ring finger, go up just 1 fret. I don't even know exactly what it is. That's me messing around. Hey YouTube, what is up, you guys? Great to be back on here. I'm not on the road. I'm in my room, an OG Tim Avon music video. Coming today, talking to you guys. And I think what I'm going to talk about a little bit is sponsorship deals and my experience with them and stuff. But first I gotta say, thanks to all the new subscribers, man. We are just growing so quick and it just like isn't stopping, and I'm really excited about that. I love bringing this content to you guys. It's made it a lot of fun for me to film out on the road and kind of like, I don't know, there's this other thing I have to do that I enjoy doing. I've always liked making these YouTube videos, but you guys supporting me and stuff has been a lot of fun. And I get a ton of comments from you guys, a ton. One day I'm just going to do a comment video where I sit down and just answer some comments. But I get a ton of comments from you guys talking about just how like you enjoy the rawness and the peek behind the curtain and stuff. And that's really what this channel's about, man, is I don't know, taking you guys on like my real life situations, you know, what am I doing? I get to do some pretty cool stuff. I also will play in a bar and it's nothing glamorous, but you have a great time, you know? So the goal is just to show you guys the no BS real look, whether it's the coolest thing I've done or playing in a bar, because it's all the same. And if you're down here, you're probably do a mix of all that stuff. Okay, let's hop into it. Sponsorship stuff. A lot of people ask me online when I do my lives or just in comments of, I want to hear either about your guitars, which I'll do a video, especially for this guitar, more dedicated to it. Some people have asked about it. This is a PRS DGT, and man, it's a good guitar. I mean, it is a real good guitar. People always ask me about sponsorship. I'm a PRS artist, and I think people are curious just about sponsorships in general and what that means and stuff. So
So I want to give you some general tips that are probably the same across the board. Um, Obviously, like with the sponsorship, you sign something, and I'm not going to sit and read exactly what that is because I can't. But I think some general tips of thinking about it in a certain way would maybe make sense for people looking at that, or I don't know. I'm just going to give my experience and some tips, I think. And tip number one, and this honestly is the main thing of what the video is built around, is like getting a sponsorship deal or something. Like, what is that? You need to put yourself in the shoes of a company. And why would a company want to work with any person, right? Why does any company work with anybody, right? And it's basically like brand awareness, right? It's marketing. They're looking and saying, okay, how does this mutually benefit us both, right? Because the company, you could be the best guitar player in the world, and if you're just in your bedroom and no one's heard of you, literally the best in the world, what good does it do the company to help you in any way, right? What good is it for them, right? It's a two-way street. Of the company is big enough where they can say, we can help you, whether it's, there's all different kinds of ways this could look, whether it's acquire gear or meet people or whatnot. And then they are hoping that they get advertising out of it, right? Their product is shown and stuff. There's, so like even, I was going to say with the PRS amps, which I think you can see this in the shot. I looked over and thought, I wonder if you could see this in the shot. This is very crude level production, you guys, and I'm going to keep it the same. I might get a better camera, but I'm still just going to set it up over there. But, okay, let's say this amp, right? And PRS says, we want to hook you up with an amp. Okay, if I was only going direct in, right, like the company would, it wouldn't make sense for them to be like, oh, I use an amp on stage. This amp, when I'm playing, is visible on stage, right? So that's like a makes sense thing, where if you're on a direct only gig, it probably doesn't make sense to hook you up with an amp or help you get, you know what I mean? So approaching it wise, like I think just thinking about that in those terms, and the reality of this talk right here is like I have one and a half sponsorship deals. Brian Wampler, shout out to you. I have some Wampler pedals here that I just keep going on and on about because I really love them. They're really good stuff, man. But the reality is, like, this video is probably not for 95% of people watching this, and that's just, that's just how it goes. Most people aren't really in a position where they could get a sponsorship deal, but I just want to talk about it some in my experience, and I'm rambling a little bit, but mutually beneficial for the company. So I had a potential contact with PRS for a little while through a buddy that knew Emil Wursler, which shout out Emil if you're watching this. Great guy. I love Emil. And he kind of was my first point of contact. Now, I had that potential contact that I could have tried to utilize before Landco when I was playing with Hayden Kaufman. And I'd always waited. And it's funny, I remember I started being in positions where a ton of the people I was around had PRS, some was working with PRS in some capacity, whether they were an artist or just had good connections and knew the people really well. And I remember being like, dude, I'm so close, I'm around it. It has to be coming for me someday, at some point. And I owned, it's sitting over there out of the shot, so I won't get up and get it. I was playing a PRS CE that my grandfather helped me buy. And it was my first like humbucker guitar, believe it or not, like more than a decade into my playing. And I wore that thing out, and I still do. I use it for the open E stuff with Landco. But I was waiting, and I didn't know when I'd try and utilize that connection. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second too, because that really comes to the heart of it. And then when I got the Landco thing, and I played the first gig, and it sounded like I was going to play a second gig. And then I played the second gig, and it sounded like I was going to play a third gig. I thought, okay, this is safe. I want to go in and just introduce myself. So here's a big part of this. There's a couple really important points here that can span across a lot more than just this and that. I utilized the network that I had built, and I knew someone had a contact. That contact got my initial foot in the door. And he said, oh, I know X. Sure, I'll talk to this guy, because X wouldn't recommend some random person. Okay. Then I utilized the street cred that I kind of had. I'd play out a lot. I'm visible in front of people. Even with Hayden Kaufman, I was playing big shows, big enough shows. I was posting all over my Instagram. I always had that PRS CE in my hand. And then now I come with Landco. I've got a bigger gig. I'm in a bigger band. At the time, I wasn't quite in the band yet, but it was on that route. Now I'm in the band. But, right, so it's utilizing those things. If I had connections, I thought I was in a good place. There was a reason for me to just sit down and talk. And this is what I want to make really important. Is like, no company wants you to hit them up and be like, hey, just give me stuff. That's not how any of this goes. I went in hanging out with this meeting being like, I just want to meet the guys, introduce myself, say I'm already using the product and I really enjoy it. And it's just cool to meet them. You know, you can't be going in there just trying to fish for stuff, because no one wants to do that. You know, like that's not how it works, because it's a partnership, right? So I have a strong partnership because I went in there and just hung out, and it was awesome. Me and Emil hit it off. We must have talked for 3+ hours the first day I went in there, hanging out, and it's just a connection was just growing there. And I talked so much about this in my other videos because it's so important, man. Like, it's just connection. I went in there just to hang out and introduce myself, talk about what I'm doing you know, and I think that's just, those are some of people, that might sound really common sense, but I think sometimes some people forget that a little bit. So one, needs to be a two-way street. What do you have to offer the company that you're trying to work with? Anything you're trying to work with, you know? And sadly, like, cold calling on the internet is probably not going to get you anywhere. If you have a massive YouTube channel or something, that's visibility. And if you cold call there, it might. But you gotta have some cred, you know? It goes two ways. Doesn't matter how good you are. You could be the best in the world. There's people way better than I am that aren't very visible, you know? So what's the point, right, in working with them? Like, okay, put this guitar in my hands. Why would we put this in Tim Evans' hands? Well, then 3 months later, I play it at the Grand Ole Opry, right? It's on TV. That's a good look, you know? I'm playing it on big stages. We got music videos coming out. I'm playing these. You don't play in the music video, right? But I'm pretending to play the Silver Sky in the music video. You know, so it's all stuff like that. But I really want to harp on the fact that it's a two-way street, and the company's not just working with people for free. And this is for any company. I'm not just talking about PRS. You know, so those are things to think about. Of if you think you have a connection or want a connection, it's waiting till the right time till you feel confident that you have something to offer the company. Even just getting to know the people, right? And then the connections and stuff. You know, you just can't go in expecting that you're just going to get a bunch of stuff, because I think the vast majority of the time that's not necessarily how it works. But developing and building a relationship with a company that's products you believe in, you don't have to sit and be like, oh yeah, I totally use this, and then you're never actually using it, right? Like, these are my guitars. I use these every day. They're in all my videos. You know, I use all my PRS stuff. I've got one Fender Strat, and I've got a GNL Tele. And I love them all. And I'm still, you know, I just played at Whiskey Jam the other night, the smaller Whiskey Jam, and I brought the GNL Tele, because it's a Tele kind of gig, you know? Like, but I love these instruments, and it's not hard for me to get on here and be like, I like them. Of course I endorse this, you know? And I've got my small little corner of the internet following, which I appreciate, you guys. But anyways, this is just some rambling. But I want to give you guys some thoughts on that, some ideas, you know, of thinking about, so many people ask me, like, how'd you go about getting the PRS thing or this and that? And I utilized connections, but then I also, you know, you can have all the connections in the world, but if I wasn't doing anything, what's the point of working with me? I could go sit down and have a great hang with Emil, he's a nice guy, but what's the point of working, you know? So I think those are some things to keep in mind. You know, I'd love to do this. I've talked a little bit with Emil and another buddy from Dunlop about sitting down and doing a long form talk with maybe the three of us, with two people on that side of the industry that I think you guys would find fascinating. They could give just a ton of insight and stuff, and would echo, I'm sure, things that I just kind of said, and then way in depth about things not to do and what does their job even look like. Lots of people don't even know that's a job in the industry, you know? So anyways, I hope this is kind of insightful for you guys. Just me rambling a little bit, but you know, if you are, like I said, sadly, this video actually utilizing this information is going to be for a very small number of you guys, and that's just how it goes. But if you are in that kind of situation, you know, start trying to utilize your contacts. Cultivate, post a little bit on Instagram, post some on YouTube. YouTube has helped me. I've got a small YouTube channel, and YouTube has helped me out a ton already. You know, but just approach it with that mindset of connections, genuine connections, and that's all you're going for. Anything else you end up getting is icing on the cake, you know. Products you believe in, and just remembering it's a two-way street, you know. People don't want to just give you stuff because you're good. Because what does that do for them? Nothing, you know. It's a business, right? They're running a business. So anyways, I hope that you guys find that kind of interesting. It's me just rambling, talking about my experiences, and hopefully my experiences will help some of you guys at some point with some of your experiences. So I've got a ton more good stuff to come. We got CMA Fest this week, and I'm going to do a gig vlog on the day we do that, and I'm going to take you guys to our meet and greet. I'm going to take you to the gig. We've got a bunch of fun stuff. I might do another little vlog thing in between there. I'm doing a bunch this week, but I haven't done a sit down, just talk at the camera video in a while, and I get this question a lot, so I figured I'm going to sit and send it, you know? So tell me what you guys think. If you enjoy this stuff, like it, subscribe, you know, do the thing, right? Hit the bell. And I think that's it. So until next time, YouTube, peace.